Blessed Day Reflection by Abia listeners. My name is Abia Grant, and we are here to reflect on our life journey. We will be discussing topics related to self awareness, self improvement, and mental health. Also, the purpose of this safe space is for us to be free to discuss the ups and downs, celebrate the wins, and talk about ways to improve the lows. So, welcome to this podcast, and I hope you gain something from this time we share together. Hello everyone, how you doing? It is your girl Abia Grant. Welcome back to another episode of Reflection by Abia. I hope that you are doing good and that you are having a blessed day. I am having a pretty good day. At the time right now, it is 7:57 in the morning, and we are here recording this podcast episode, and I'm in pretty good spirits. If you hear my voice go in and out a little bit, I don't think a cold is coming, but for every reason my voice is a little bit scratchy, so I hope that's not coming through on the audio. But besides that, I am doing pretty good. I want to say, although I'm doing pretty good today, the past couple of days, I have been thinking a lot about last week's episode. So, if you had listened to last week's episode, I was basically talking about redefining success, and the peace that you basically want in your life. And pretty much like accomplishing goals, things that you set for yourself, things that maybe you just wanted to do and you haven't done them. How can you get to that next step? How can you just jump over the hurdle and start rocking the boat and everything? And I just want to say that that episode honestly left me with a lot of thoughts. And the topic that I wanted to get into this week is the comfort of excuses and the silent barrier of being comfortable, setting excuses for yourself, and sometimes not wanting to push yourself because you are okay with where you're at. Like, it's safe, it feels safe where you are at currently. And that's kind of pretty much how all this came about is in last week's episode. As I was editing the episode, I just kept thinking about Abia. Do you really want to rock the boat? Abia, you are motivated, quote unquote, I guess you could say, by my words. I am quote unquote motivated, but internally, am I truly motivated? And it really started to, I want to say, become a little bit overwhelming. I want to say that, and really kind of, I guess you could say, slightly backpedaling. And for me, I felt like it's the fear. Also, I feel like it is you don't want to prove yourself wrong. I feel that also you want to make sure like whatever you're doing is going to work, you know? And when I think about this, it's just a very, it's like you want change, but the fear of the change and where you are right now, it's like, do you really want to change whatever is going on? And I just think about it just like also like with society. If we did not push ourselves, if we did not want more for ourselves, then where would society be? You know what I mean? Like if we didn't have certain people who created an invention and they just gave up on being comfortable where they're at, saying, you know what, I think I can create X, Y, and Z, but I'm comfortable where I'm at, and they never pursue it, then like where would we be? That is just really where I'm at. And then also I started to think that you're never truly guaranteed that you are going to have success, but you have to try, you know? So it's a very frustrating just place to be in. And I want to say this is not something where I feel like it affects certain type of people. I feel like it affects women. I feel like it affects men. It's everybody. Everybody is thrown into the bucket of figuring out life and figuring out what they want to pursue and figuring out if they want to be uncomfortable. The thing is that I just don't want to allow for my excuses to set me back. You know what I mean? And although this episode I'm talking about the silent barrier, I guess in a way comfort and excuses can be a barrier of where it keeps shining itself. And I feel like depending on what you're trying to accomplish in your life, sometimes you're going to have that silent barrier, you're going to try to ignore, quote unquote, or you're going to have it where it may be a situation like me where it keeps blaring its horn. I feel like in either situation, sometimes we just don't want to do anything about it and we just stick with what we're doing right now. But I want to go ahead and get into the definition of comfort because I always like to start there with giving you guys definitions so that we can better just understand and talk about it, or at least my perception of whatever that definition may be. So comfort is different forms. I feel comfort could come from your physical just abilities, your emotional abilities, as well as your psychological abilities as well too, or factors. Now, comfort arises from basically being familiar of what you're being provided at that time. And what I've also realized is that comfort is a sense of control. When I do these episodes with you guys, I start to understand how everything is correlating with each other. If you have listened to my podcast episodes prior to this, that I talk a lot about control, and control for me is a major factor of my mental health and a major factor of anxiety and all the rest of this things when you start throwing everything in the bucket. But also during this process, there's minimal risk. With comfort, there is a minimal risk, and your environment pretty much is safe. You stay safe because you're having control over the situation. You are laying the foundation. You are building the foundation. You're doing all the things, and everything is nice and sturdy. And then now you want to, I guess if you want to transition into being uncomfortable, I want to change things up. However, with comfort, you don't want to change everything up or change anything up because you feel safe. Now, excuses. Let's go ahead and throw that in there as well too. Excuses is when you justify your actions and you avoid taking responsibility. As well is usually a response of underlying mental and emotional issues. So remember how I said that comfort is a sense of control, and for me it correlates into anxiety and correlates to not being able to have things go my way. Now, in conjunction to that, with anxiety, that's also related to mental health, so underlying mental issues, as well with the control and anxiety and the mental underlying, you have to throw in emotional issues as well too. Sometimes our emotions are in a place where it's uncomfortable. Therefore, we are making the excuse to continue with how we are doing things now because we don't want to stir the pot. We don't want to lose control. We don't want to be anxious. These two correlate to each other. These two work in tandem to each other, and what I've also realized is that in most cases, the excuses are short-term relief. And I figured that out a lot when I talk about when I, left my job. Prior to leaving my job, I had spoke about how I was making the excuse of leaving my job at that time, and I was sticking it out. But me sticking it out was just short-term relief because nothing was changing. You understand what I'm saying? So I was making the excuse to stay because I did not want to job hunt. I did not want to, change up my environment. I did not want to get to know new people. I did not want to do these things. So therefore, I was making excuses. I was comfortable in the position that I was in, but yet I wasn't, because it was only short-term relief. Like, yeah, you could talk to people, you could try to change things up or whatever, but in theory, 9 times out of 10, things are not going to change. So it's like, what part are you going to play in the situation? What are you going to do about the situation? You know what I mean? So it's kind of, I know I keep saying, you know what I mean, but that is just how we could get so lost in the comfort, so lost in the excuses. And that's just really something I want you guys to think about as you are, things may be changing in your life or things that you want to do. You have to look at those factors as well too. Are you not wanting to do X, Y, and Z because of your comfort, because of excuses? But like within, you can do this. Like, if you challenge yourself that you can do this. Like, really think about that. Really think about that factor, because at the end of the day, you not doing it is holding you back. And this episode, it's going to be preachy, and I think a lot of my episodes are preachy, but again, this is motivation. I want us to be motivated in order to reach the places that we want to reach. So we have to talk about this. We have to talk about the problems. We have to be real with ourselves. I want to go ahead and get into the housekeeping rules and get those out the way. If you're listening to this podcast episode on Spotify, be sure to hit the follow and notification button so Spotify lets you know when I release a new episode. As well, leave me a comment on what you enjoy about the podcast and give me a 5-star rating. This is how you can support my podcast. And now the disclaimer is, I am not a licensed psychiatrist or therapist. My suggestions and my guests are based on general knowledge and life experiences. If you're considering making significant changes or dealing with personal issues, seek and talk to a licensed mental health professional. So the question that I basically posed to myself as I was editing this episode, as I was further thinking about how I felt, is comfort a trap? And the answer is yes. Heck yes. Comfort is a trap. Now, comfort has always been where we find, our sanctuary, where we feel safe. I guess you can say I've realized that fear of rocking the boat, I talk about this in prior episodes, I talked about it last week, we had to give up something. We have to give up something that we built already. And sometimes we don't want to give up something that we built already, and we stick where we are. And in that sense, comfort is a trap. I spoke about it last week that I was editing the episode and I was thinking about, the things that I want to accomplish in my life and what I want to pursue. But I was feeling like, okay, Bia, things are comfortable right now. So it was trapping me in that safe place. I want to kind of say that I'm in a better, I'm still thinking, I'm still evaluating and so forth. But I want to reach where I want to reach. I want to push myself where I need to push myself to. Now, with all of this, I'm going to be honest with you, I was disappointed in myself. I was honestly disappointed in myself because I feel like I've worked so hard to get to the place of where I am now. But at the same time, I'm also proud of myself because at least I could narrow down what the issue is. And this is the thing that I realize is that everything has a root cause. I talked about this, I think maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago. I talked about the root cause and how everything is rooted in something else that you likely have dealt with in your past, and now it's taking form in your present, and it's stopping you from pursuing whatever you wanted to pursue, or challenging whatever needs to be challenged, or asking questions or whatever needs to be asked, questions to. So you have to really get to the root and figure out, okay, what do I need in order to uproot this situation so that I could pursue what I need to pursue. I could ask what I need to ask. So for me, I found that in this whole dynamics of last week's episode, I started to think about like what is the primary root cause in my situation. Now, your situation may be completely different, and there are other root causes outside of this as well too. But for me, there's two primary root causes. And one of them is emotional cause. Okay. Now, emotional cause for me is my own inner critic of myself. Again, this is factoring control and my perfectionism. It drives me to feel overwhelmed, and it drives me to feel burnt out. There's certain things and goals that I want to reach, but my emotional feelings, my desires, me trying to be perfect at everything, this stops me from actually accomplishing what needs to get accomplished. Because I just be like, you know what? I'm just going to give up. I am not even going to try or continue to try. And also, I fear that pursuing the success could lead me to repeat the same pattern and end back where I was before. But I'm trying to counteract that by saying I refuse to basically allow for this to be an excuse for me. Instead, where I'm at is that I need to take responsibility. I need to take responsibility for my past and basically managing my emotions and my actions. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Reflection by Abia. Feel free to check out the podcast Facebook and Instagram page. The links will be available in the show notes. Let's get back to the podcast. It's like I am an adult. I can manage my emotions and I can manage my actions. I feel like for me, sometimes it gets disarray when I allow for it to overwhelm me, but I can't allow for this to overwhelm me. Now, also, another factor that is one of the root causes is the mental cost. So I sometimes hold back this limiting belief that nothing will change because of the disappointments I've had experienced in my past. Now, this is the same exact feelings from the emotional cause, but now it's a mental cause where it's a constant cycle that's going over in my head over and over and over again. But I also feel that in addition to just being disappointed about my past, it's the lack of confidence. And it's stemming from what I have accomplished in my past. I've accomplished things in my past, but it becomes very daunting to keep it up. And where I basically am at is that I'm learning that the past disappointments or even the past accomplishments, that is the past. And just because that situation happened in a certain way, whether it be a disappointment of things that I didn't accomplish or something that I did accomplish, but maybe I started to fear the accomplishment and I started to walk away from it because it's like, okay, I got to put more work into this. That's not what I want to do. I'm choosing to not allow for that to be an obstacle for me anymore. I'm blocking my blessings, and I should not be blocking my blessings. I should not be intimidated of what I'm able to accomplish. Sometimes we step in our own way. We step in our own path that we see for ourselves, or we not even necessarily that we see for ourselves. Let me backtrack that. We step in the path that is being built for us because it's like this is the unknown. And we're trying to figure out, okay, how can I get to the next step? And it becomes intimidating, but you can't allow for that intimidation to stop you. You have to push forward, or you should want to push forward, because this is what God is giving you. He's giving you this blessing. He's giving you this next step in your life. And you should take that blessing. You should want to accomplish. You should want to do whatever it is that you need to do. Like I said, I'm just deep down, I truly want to break away from the comfort and the excuses that I make for myself. And honestly, I really just realized, not realize or just realize, this is, we are not, we know when we are operating in a certain way. And with that, I just understand that it's a choice. For me, it's a choice. For you, it's a choice. We have a choice on how we want this to go. And I know sometimes we may feel like we don't have a choice, that we don't have a voice, but we do. We do have a voice. And things are going to be uncomfortable. The unknown is going to be uncomfortable. Yeah, yes, what I'm saying, because you don't know the outcome. But you have to embrace that discomfort if you want to see something develop or progress for yourself. Because as long as you're moving in the right way that you're supposed to move, it's all going to be a blessing. It's all going to be a blessing because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're doing what God is setting you to do. And it's so crazy right now, guys. As I'm recording this episode, I just have to stop for a second. I'm sitting here. I have one shade open and I have the other shade closed. And I feel like God is speaking to me right now. And the sun just came out. It's been a little gloomy and the sun just came out of the clouds. And I know some people may feel like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. That's, it just happened to be. But I feel like God is telling me, Abia, you're right. And he just, as soon as I said that sentence of, you have to continue your life and God wants this for you, I believe that's what I said. The sun just shines so bright for me in my room, or not for me, but in my room. Guys, I know this episode's all over the place and you're probably like, girl, what the heck are you talking about? But yeah, this road is not easy, but we can get there. And I want us to get there. I honestly want us to do what we need to do for ourselves, whatever that may be. So that is where I'm going to leave this week's episode. I hope that my conversation, I think this was a rather short episode, but I hope that this conversation helped you. I like to come with these episodes because I just want to show that even though I may come on here and I may speak about certain things, I still am human, and I still want to discuss and share how I'm feeling. This is what this podcast is about. It's being honest with ourselves and discussing about the troubles that we may be facing or the concerns that we have about ourselves. And I hope, again, that something that I said in this episode resonates with you and just you're able to understand you're not the only one. You're not. So, but guys, I'm gonna end this episode here. Stay blessed out there in those streets. Make sure that you treat others kindly out there in those streets. And God willing, I'll see you guys in another episode. Talk to you later. Thank you for listening to Reflection by Abia. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about today's episode and share the podcast with your friends and family. The link will be available in the show notes.